After watching the All-Star game a few days ago in Los Angeles, I thought to myself, what would be the greatest possible MLB team of all time? So naturally, I started doing some research, and here we are. Keep in mind, this video is not the best lineup ever. That would be something completely different. This is simply who I think is the best player from each position all time. I can make a separate video about a lineup if you want, but there's no lineup in this video. So we're going to go in order, starting with the pitcher, and there's about 20 different guys you can put in this spot with no wrong answer. But after debating between 3 or 4 guys, I finally settled on Pedro Martinez. He's got a sub-3 career ERA, he's won a pitcher triple crown, he's got 3 Cy Youngs, 5 ERA titles, and he finished his 19-year career with a Ks per 9 of 10 and a Ks per walk of 4.15, which is absolutely insane. Also, God forbid a defenseless old man runs onto the field, Pedro is the guy I want out there to assault him. His battery mate is between Yogi Berra and Johnny Bench, and after doing some research, it may be a surprise to some people that I'm picking Yogi Berra. But in Yogi's career, he has a better batting average, on-base slugging, and OPS than Bench does. He also has more hits, more RBIs, 4 more All-Star appearances, and 1 more MVP than Bench. And in his 19-year career, he only struck out a total of 414 times. After going through the numbers, I have to say I'm pretty confident in this pick. Moving on to the infield at first base, we've got Lou Gehrig. He had a .340 career batting average with 2 MVPs and a triple crown, and he would have easily reached 500 career home runs and 2,000 career RBIs had he not been diagnosed with ALS. If it wasn't for constantly playing in the shadow of Babe Ruth every day, Lou Gehrig would probably go down as the greatest player of his generation. Moving on to second base, I had to go with Rogers Hornsby. He had a .358 career batting average and was 70 hits shy of 3,000. What I think is his most impressive achievement is he's only one of 2 players to ever win 2 triple crowns. That's hard enough to do once, and the fact that he did it twice, especially as a second baseman, makes him deserving of this spot. The other player to win 2 triple crowns is also on this team, so I'm not going to say who it is just yet, but Rogers Hornsby gets the start at second base. Moving to third base, this was a pretty easy choice. It's got to be Mike Schmidt. He's got the most home runs ever by a third baseman with 548. He's one of 11 players to ever win 3 or more MVPs. He's got 12 All-Star appearances and a World Series MVP in 1980, 10 Gold Gloves, 6 Silver Sluggers. He's probably the most accomplished third baseman of all time. And finally, to fill out the infield is the shortstop position. And this is the one that gets a lot of people upset regardless of who you pick. It's between Honus Wagner, Cal Ripken Jr., and Derek Jeter. After spending lots of time looking through stats of all 3 of these players, you have to admit, whether you like it or not, the greatest shortstop of all time is Derek Jeter. He's got the 6th most hits of all time and the most ever by a shortstop, a .310 career batting average, 14 All-Star appearances, 5 Gold Gloves, 5 Silver Sluggers, and 1 World Series MVP. He also has 8 seasons with 200 or more hits, and that's tied for 4th all-time. In terms of power hitting, Ripken is the greatest shortstop of all time, and in terms of contact hitting, it would be Jeter. But I think if you split up the 2 categories and you said which player is just a better hitter overall, if you're talking about the greatest contact hitters of all time in a debate, it's probably going to be about a minute before someone mentions Derek Jeter's name. While if you're talking about the greatest power hitters ever, it's going to be a while before someone mentions Cal Ripken Jr. Jeter is just more dominant in that category, and I feel he's a better hitter overall. And people can say whatever they want about his defense. He won more Gold Gloves than Ripken did. And if we want to be super technical, Jeter destroys Ripken in the base running category as well. He's got 358 career stolen bases to Ripken's 36. And in my opinion, I know people are going to hate me for saying this, as impressive as Cal's streak was, it does make his career seem a tad bit overrated. Yes, he was better at showing up to ball games, but when it comes to actually playing them, Jeter is better on the field. Moving on to right field, I went with Hank Aaron. I'll admit I originally had Babe Ruth in this spot, but after going into it further, I ended up going with Aaron. 755 home runs, that's the 2nd most all-time and the most for a non-steroid user. 2,297 RBIs, most all-time. 6,856 total bases, most all-time. A .305 career batting average, and he was a 25-time All-Star. Hank Aaron's pretty much everything you want in a hitter, and overall, I'd still probably take Babe Ruth because he was also a fantastic pitcher, but if we're strictly going by right field, that position belongs to Hank Aaron. Moving over to center field, another guy that checks all the boxes, it's Willie Mays. A 24-time All-Star, he won 12 Gold Gloves, 2 MVPs, had 660 home runs, and a .301 career batting average. He also led the league in stolen bases 4 years in a row from 1956 to 1959. Once Mike Trout retires, I think the center field debate will be pretty interesting to hear. But until that time comes, Willie Mays is the greatest center fielder ever. And the final position, moving over to left field, I went with Ted Williams. He is the other player to win 2 Triple Crowns that I alluded to earlier in this video. He's second all-time in OPS with a 1.115 behind Babe Ruth. He's also got 2 MVPs, 19 All-Stars, and he missed 3 prime years of his career to serve in World War II. He's also the last player to bat 400 in a season, and he did it 3 times in his career. Simply put, Ted Williams was just a beast, and he's the best left fielder of all time. And I also added a DH as well. It was between Edgar Martinez and David Ortiz, and I ended up going with Ortiz. This is another one of those choices between contact hitting or power hitting. And again, if you're debating between the greatest of all time between the 2 categories, David Ortiz's name is going to come up much faster in the power hitting department than Edgar Martinez is for the contact hitting. On top of that, David Ortiz has 3 more All-Star appearances and 2 more Silver Sluggers than Edgar. So I think that solidifies him as the greatest DH to ever play. So in the end, this is what the team looks like. I have to say, after going through the numbers, I'm very confident in all of these picks, though some of them may not be that obvious. But that pretty much wraps it up, so let me know what you agree or disagree with in this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.